So we're 30 minutes in, and let me summarize where we're at. If you're a blockchain startup, the money's here for you. If you're a tech startup doing blockchain, the talent's here for you. The thought leadership is clearly here. Look at the speakers and the quality that we have. There's one more thing that we need here, though, which is a customer. Every business needs that. And our next speaker is our Secretary of State and Lieutenant Governor-elect. So Jon's background, real quick. Not only has he been our Secretary of State for the last few years, before that he was in the legislature where he was Speaker of the House for 4 years. But what Jon understands more than any other elected official that I've ever met is the power of innovation. When he was at the Secretary of State's office, he did something that no elected official has ever done in history. He went to the legislature and said, "Take my budget away. I'm going to run this office so efficiently using technology that I can afford to run this office with no taxpayer money." And with his election as Lieutenant Governor, he is going to be responsible for the innovation and economic development of Ohio. And what that means for you in the tech world is we're going to have a consumer of technology in the state of Ohio, and that's really, really exciting. So if you could join me in welcoming our next Lieutenant Governor-elect, Jon Husted.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. This is a great idea. When Bernie gave me the call and said that he would like me to come say a few words, I said, of course I would do this. I thought it was a fantastic idea, and I look forward to the opportunity to share a few thoughts about the future of the state of Ohio and how Mike DeWine and I want to lead Ohio to a more prosperous future, leveraging technology to make Ohio better and more customer service friendly. Now, I want to tell you that before I got here today, I did my 2-hour drive from Columbus, but I coached a 4th grade girls basketball team. Okay, that's my daughter plays on a 4th grade girls basketball team. I said that, you know, if they would endure the election, I would coach the team. And so I did. And it reminded me when I was trying to prepare for this presentation to think about some of the conversations Bernie and I have had about blockchain technology. It's kind of like what I tell my 4th grade basketball team. It's pretty easy. Defense is easy. You stay between the player and the basket. The shot goes up. You block out. It's great. Everybody understands. Sure, I get it. And then you send them off and none of it happens, right? That's kind of how, you know, when you're dealing with government and you're talking about technology that sometimes you feel. I'm going to share with you just a quick overview about what Mike DeWine and I envision Innovate Ohio as being. Basically, we all understand this. As technology is changing the way we live and the economy we live in, and the people in states that most effectively adapt to this change will be the ones that prosper. And the states and the people that don't will fall behind. And our administration is committed to leading an aggressive, innovative path to build a more prosperous future for Ohio. We have a formula that we conceptualize on how we think you create prosperity. We believe it's innovation plus investment plus talent multiplied by entrepreneurism, which equals prosperity. All of the elements are there. And this initiative that we will be undertaking and I will be leading as Lieutenant Governor is called Innovate Ohio. And it's how we make state government more effective and more efficient in using technology to improve customer service, to save tax dollars. And in doing so, we will make Ohio a state that attracts more talent, builds more talent, attracts more businesses and new investments to our state. Now, I hope by the time I'm done that you will understand what Innovate Ohio is about. However, I have a cartoon that I brought today that I hope explains what I don't want Innovate Ohio to be about. And if you could put the cartoon up there. As you see, it's a Dilbert, which is always funny, all right? We need to be more innovative and more nimble. And so a guy who works in government, you can imagine this, he says, that's why I've created a task force to consider forming a project team to write a white paper on how to start, right? And they want to fix this guy, right? Well, he is, this character in this cartoon reminds me of a lot of people that do anything in government or big business or wherever it might be, where they're accustomed to doing things the same way. And when somebody tells them to change, they figure out how they're going to run out the clock on you. We're going to think about it. We're going to put a bunch of people together. We're just going to run out the clock until you lose energy or you go away. And we're not going to change. And I will share with you, though, sort of the spirit and the experience that I had, which Bernie touched on a little bit, about how Innovate Ohio came into my mind, is that when I was Secretary of State, I took over the job, and if you know what the Secretary of State does, it handles voting, yes. There are a lot of things I could talk about how we use technology to improve that process, but we're also the place where you start a business. If you file to do it, you start a business. And when I got there, this is how you started a business. You filled out a form. You mailed it in. Somebody on the other end got that envelope with your check in it for $125. Somebody opened the envelope. Someone processed the check. Somebody had to rekey in all the information you had. Sometimes it was right, sometimes it was wrong. And then about 4.5 days later, you'd receive your certificate. And I simply said to the staff, I said, that seems kind of old school. Why don't we put this online to the incumbent staff that I inherited? And along with some of the new staff I brought with me. And they said, well, we can't do that. Why can't we do that? They said, well, there are 100 different forms. We can't put them all online. I said, well, let's start with the ones we use the most. Let's put those online. Well, we'll do that, I guess. And then they said, but understand if we accept a credit card that we'll have to pay credit card fees, and then it will affect our budget because we are gonna lose money to the credit card company. I said, well, but I think that we'll have more people use this, and then we'll have more revenue. And we just went back and forth. They were trying to come up with every excuse in the world about why they didn't want to do it. And finally, we got them to, I basically had to say, look, I'm the boss. We're going to do this, okay? We're just going to do this. I promised it. I said I would do it. We're going to do it. It turned out so much better than we ever imagined. So much better than we ever imagined, because what used to take 4 hours or 4 days now usually takes less than 4 hours. It was very efficient. As a result of that, over time, we got a lot more customers because people started to like the system. They started to use it more often. In addition to that, we didn't need as many people. Now I get, this is one of the fears. Look, the bottom line is that many people who didn't want to do this was one of the fears because they were going to lose their job. We did it all through attrition and early retirement, for the most part. And in the end, we became so efficient that I went to the legislature and I said, look, I want you to cut the fee for doing this from $125 down to $99, so we'd be the lowest cost state in the Midwest to start and maintain a business. And of course, they said, sure, because in 8 years, I'm the only one that ever came to the legislature and asked them to cut a fee. All right? And now we are so efficient, we no longer need any tax dollars to run our office. We run it on fees, and we cut them by 21%. Cut the fees by 21%. This can be done. But if I had done none of that, you would know the difference. If we still did it the same old way, no one would complain about it because it's government and that's the way government works. We have to do it that way, or it's always been done that way. You know how these things go. But you can drive the change. And the people in the end were very happy because they're proud of what they did. They're proud of what they accomplished. But there was one little thing that did happen along the way that actually has I'm going to tell you about it because it has a Cleveland twist to it. Along the way, I was riding home from Cleveland one day, and I got a tweet that said that somebody had been on hold with my office for over 30 minutes in the business services division. And I said, okay, well, I need to check this out. I call my chief of staff, and he says, yeah, the people in the call center, the union ordered a walkout. Why? Well, because they want you to hire more people. I said, we don't need any more people. They want them hired anyway. In our call center. I said, well, we can't put people on hold for this whole time. It doesn't make any sense. they got to go back to work. And they said, well, they're threatening to go to the Columbus Dispatch to talk about this. I said, I'll go with them. Happy to talk about what we've done, how we've improved customer service, how we've treated our employees right along the way. But they wouldn't go back to work, and in the end, they didn't even bid on the contract. But we sent it out to bid. The winning bidder saved us $100,000 a year, improved customer service. We actually got a national award for the partnership we have with the Cleveland Sight Center. And so the people that answer the phone in my business services division actually are in Cleveland, and they're blind. And they hear the customer in one ear, and they hear the computer in the other ear, and they do a great job. Yeah. Technology not only changes things for the better, but it can also give opportunities to people who didn't have them before. And the unemployment rate among people who are blind, I was told, was around 70%. These folks are fantastic. They do a wonderful job. And when I brought them the award, because I got this national award, it's in them, not me, I took it to them. I gave it to them. And I asked them, I said, well, I just want to thank them, because it was amazing what they did. And one of the gentlemen there, Andre, who was kind of the guy who was the ringleader of the group, he said, Mr. Secretary, why we're so good at this? And I said, no, Andre, why? He said, because we're blind and we're used to being frustrated when we ask people for help. And he's right. They just had an intuitive empathy toward people who were struggling to get through, who were working to get customer service they needed, and we can just do better. We can do better as a state, and that's what Innovate Ohio is about. It's how we use technology to continue to improve the customer service experience. And I want to walk through just a couple of the things that will be at the heart of what we want to do with Innovate Ohio. We think that Ohio has a lot of great companies and tech entrepreneurs that will help modernize state and local government, improve customer service, and save tax dollars, which is what it's about. The Jon Husted administration will create a smart Ohio operating system and require state departments to engage in data sharing to improve the efficiency of service across state government and give the capacity to provide predictive analytics to solve problems before they occur. For example, in social services, in healthcare, in Mike DeWine's children's initiative that matters so much to him about how we can take the data that we have and apply it to the problems that we have in our society and use that to improve people's lives. State government working across agencies can get this done. I will tell you, I had the experience when I became Secretary of State. When you register to vote, you're supposed to put your name, your address, your date of birth, your last 4 digits of your social security number or your driver's license number and your signature. And then we're supposed to check that against the BMV database to make sure that who you say you are, you actually are. Except the computer systems couldn't speak to each other. So we had no idea. The legislature wrote a law and said that you needed these things, but they didn't write a law that said, well, the 2 agencies that are in charge of sharing this data, you got to share it. They didn't. We got in there, we fixed it. We want to do more of those kinds of things with Innovate Ohio. We want to improve the procurement process, opening up the bidding process to encourage more participation, which will save cost. It will create more public accountability and integrity, better customer service, and allow even local governments to benefit from state pricing. We really believe that technology can open up that process of procurement and everything from prescription drugs to our Medicaid system. Additionally, modernize paper to digital records. And this is where I think blockchain can really be helpful to create secure digital records to improve convenience and everything from, which we heard about earlier, voting to car titles to proof of insurance, vehicle recall notices, license plates. Make available digital records to save taxpayers time when they do their taxes. Improve the efficiency and quality of everything that government does. The potential for digital records is even greater in healthcare, as I mentioned, in Medicaid, and improve both the cost and the wellness outcomes for people. We think that, the idea of a digital wallet, that everything that you do in state government could be located in one place, that would be secure, that you would know where it is, and that you could share to improve efficiency. I will tell you a little bit about how, though, I actually had this experience this week that I think is germane to this, because it's an example of how technology got ahead of the state law. And these are the things that we can change. I'm a deer hunter. This, for any of you that don't know, this is deer season, gun season. All right, on Monday I went hunting. You can purchase your license online. It went great. Purchased my license online, got it on my phone. And then when you actually harvest a deer, then you're supposed to put that in your digital record, let the state know, they send you back a confirmation number. All done, great. Except for the fact when I took the deer to the processor, to the butcher, he said he couldn't take it unless I had my paperwork. I'm like, what paperwork? I don't have any paperwork. I got my phone, I got my confirmation number. Said, well, the game warden told me that I can't accept deer without the paperwork. I said, okay. I said, and I asked him a few more questions, and he started to get defensive. I said, hey, I actually know somebody that might be able to help you here, all right? And then he looks at me and he goes, hey, are you? And I go, yeah, that's me. And he said, well, yeah, and we walked through the process, and we talked. Well, the problem is that the law says you have to have a paper copy of something, even though there is no reason for you to have a paper copy of something. And simply you can just change the law and allow for a digital notification to serve as the same thing. This happens so many places across government. We want to change these experiences for people because it saves them time and money and anguish, and it really can improve things. We're going to create this advisory council. I call it a dream team of innovators to advise us from the private sector to help the public sector envision how we can improve the services that we provide. And then additionally, there will be a major talent initiative associated with this. You may have heard that we announced that every year we're going to fund at least 10,000 nano degrees that will result in an industry certification in some area that is in high demand in our economy to help people who are in the incumbent workforce upgrade their skills to advance themselves within their business, within our state. We'll pay for it so long as you go to work in Ohio. We'll do this with coding and many different types of skills. One that we've already worked on with our career technical schools is in robotics. And I like to use this example because you could be working on the line for Honda or Whirlpool or somebody like that, and you can go to school at night and on the weekends, and in 3 weeks get an industry certification in robotics maintenance technology, which will move you from your $14 to $16 an hour job to a $26 to $28 an hour job, and have a certificate that will allow you to go to work anywhere in the state or in the country where somebody needs one of these certifications. It's about moving people up through the economy. It's about creating the talent that we need and moving Ohio forward. This is another aspect of Innovate Ohio. We also want to get our universities more engaged in innovation. And one of the things that we're going to ask our universities to work with us on is allowing the technology that's innovated on our campuses to remain the intellectual property of the innovator rather than of the university. Because we think, yeah. We think that will attract more entrepreneurial-minded people. It will attract investment into those private investment into the universities and into those individuals. And we really believe that this will help set Ohio apart. I got a call soon after we did it. Somebody asked me, well, Ohio would be the first state to do this. Are you sure it's going to work? I said, well, no, I'm not sure it's going to work, but I'm sure glad we're first. Because if you want to get ahead, you've got to innovate. You've got to get out of your safety net, your safety zone, and figure out how you're going to get ahead. We think that these kinds of things will help Ohio get ahead. In the end, no matter what side of the political spectrum you come from, using technology to make government more efficient, to improve customer service and to improve that customer experience so that you get better outcomes is good for everybody. I think if you would like government to be more involved in our lives, it's a good thing for you, because if government works better, people have more confidence in it. They will trust it to do more things. And if you're one of those people that thinks that you want government less in your life, that's good too, because it will be disruptive in a way, in a constructive way, that will help create efficiencies, that will help save money, and that will help make your experience in interacting in government one with less hassle. And we believe that it is critical for Ohio to lead in this area, because we want to be the state in the Midwest where everybody turns to. Those are who our competitors are. We want to be the best in the Midwest. We want to be the place that no matter where you are, that you're going to look at Ohio and you say, that's a state that's got it together. That's a state that is leading. That's a state that's innovating. That's a state that's creating a culture of innovation. And I hope you will help us, because we can't do this alone. I am kind of like that guy in Dilbert in the sense that sometimes I don't know all the details of these things. None of us do. But I know how to get government out of the way, and you know how to innovate. And if we work together, we will make Ohio a more prosperous state. Thank you very much.